Oh, it is? Well, okay. Never mind. It's already in there. I apologize. All right. So, are there any changes to, first of all, we need to have a motion to approve the agenda. Thank you. A second.
Let's all remember our microphone.
Yes. A second.
Oh, I would like to say something about that. When I'm proofreading the minutes and I have to listen to some of the things that are said, I can't tell you how many times you can't hear some people talking from here. So please, and I know myself, I have to speak into it, but really, our voices are just dropping and we can't hear anything. So,
Good.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
I will.
All
Second.
right. All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Are there any other additions or corrections?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add an item on referring to the ARB, a matter under the section 13.6.2 of the zoning ordinance about demolition by neglect,
All right, this is under the,
New business?
under new business.
all right. We'll make that C, under new business, and then bump the resolution for Mr. Bennett down to D. All right. Are you all right with that amendment to the
I'm good.
agenda?
I am.
As the secretary, are you all right with that
Yes.
amendment? All right. We have a motion with an amendment or an addition, and we have a second approves the addition as well. All those in favor by roll call vote approving the amended agenda? Jean?
Yes?
Yes.
yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 All right, thank you. As you can tell, we have spaced out a little bit because of the Omicron concerns that we all have in our community. And I want to thank everyone for masking up tonight. It is to everyone's benefit that we are doing so. So I am grateful for that. Next thing on the agenda are the minutes for the December 13th and 17th Town Council meetings, 13th and 17th December 2021. I'd like to go ahead and have a motion to approve both of them.
I make a motion to approve both of them.
Thank you. And a second.
Second.
All right, Gail seconds. Any other, any questions or changes or corrections?
No.
If not, roll call vote to approve the December 13 and 17, 2021 council meeting minutes. Jean?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. All right, thank you. Reports. I will be pleasantly brief. As was announced in the Rappahannock News, and as everyone probably already knows, we are pleased to have the Martin Krim as our new town attorney. At this point acting and soon to be town attorney, I hope. And then Steve Geyerson is our new zoning administrator. There were biographies, a brief article on them in the Rappahannock News, and in MadRap, did you have? In MadRap as well. We are very honored that we have both of these people. They have a breadth of experience in their respective fields, and we are thankful that we have them. The post office, I don't have anything to report on that at this time. I will say today I met with the people for the growth and accessibility planning study for a grant to study the sidewalks and the pathways, and it looked like we have gotten past the first round on that. So the next point is to see whether the cost of our project comes within their funding ceiling, and they feel pretty comfortable that we will. So I think we will be in pretty good shape on that, but I will know definitively as soon as I know. I will, of course, let town council members and the public know when that comes through. That is all for my report. Report from the Planning Commission? All right, and your next meeting is? Great. So there, and what is the details for the meeting on the 31st? Do you know offhand or yet? Like when and where?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so 7 p.m. here, Town Hall on January 31st will be a public meeting to discuss everyone's ideas and thoughts for the comprehensive plan that's going under date. Let's assume it's the 26th. So the regular meeting of the Architectural Review Board again will be on January 26th at 7 p.m. The meeting this Wednesday, the 12th, will be a working session specifically for addressing the issue of the Rush River Commons residential buildings. Treasurer's report, Ms. Swift.
Thank you. You have all the numbers here in front of you. One thing we're going to be doing within the next week is, as we discussed a couple of years ago, but of course because of COVID we couldn't do it, is getting the LGIP account as our contingency fund to start building that back up again. We had some pretty scary times at the beginning of COVID, but now everything's back and booming. So I'll be moving probably 100,000, if not more, up to the LGIP this month. You'll see that change. That's it on that. Nothing unusual on the bills to be paid. If anybody has any questions.
All right, would you like to have them, would you like to move to have the bills to be paid, approved?
I so move.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions? If not, a roll call vote to approve the bills to be paid. Jean?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 All right, thank you very much. Public Works Committee.
Not a great deal to report, or no specific things think of, but we are looking at talking with a second contractor about doing some of our work on a regime of meter replacements, et cetera, capitalized part of the system, pace of the work up remainder of the year.
Yeah. One of the things that we're looking at is the sand filters for the water treatment, the pump house out on Harris Hollow Road. We're looking at getting those tanks painted. There was a quote to, quote, scrape and paint. But scraping it is not going to be an adequate way to prep those tanks. They were fabricated in 1994. We've had the walls measured. There's adequate thickness in the material. They're not going to suddenly burst. But the surface is getting some rusting and pitting around the access ports. There's extensive rust, and a couple of the legs have extensive rust. So scraping it is not going to get to that. So I had a gentleman today come out and look about grit blasting and taking all of the coating off right down to bare metal. And then he recommended that when we recoat, that we do a separate primer, then the epoxy. So he's going to get me the quote to strip them, and then I'll get a quote to get them repainted. And then hopefully these tanks will stand up for hopefully like another 10 years, because one of the things that Gail and I have talked about and Joe and I have talked about is we need to start putting money aside for replacement of that whole package out there. So what I want to do is take care of these properly to give us the life that we need on them. Because if we just do this scrape and paint, within 2 years, the rust is going to be coming through, and we basically have thrown that money away. Okay? So working to get that done. There's a couple of little odds and ends around town that the lift station for the inn, there's a few things that we want to do there, but with the cold weather, I really want to back that off. It's just not appropriate trying to do cleaning and pressure washing when it's this cold. So we'll push those back a little bit, because that's going to involve a special contractor to haul away the residues that we clean out of there. And again, I'd like to do that in warmer weather.
Okay.
Other than that, I think we're pretty good. The treatment plant is in pretty good shape. We don't have anything major scheduled down there. I talked to Barbara the other day, and I'm going to get with Don Hurl and ask him to look at a few different things for us, to do a little bit of legwork, because we had a recommendation to change out the control system, and I'm reluctant to do that in light of some of the other things with Rush River Commons and other things we want to do with the plant. So rather than spend the $40,000 that they've quoted us, I'd rather wait, see what.
Figure out the capacity and.
Well, we'll see what the control system, can we just have a few extra parts on hand that we'd have to pick up secondhand to just keep us running, but then wait until we know if we're going to make any other major changes, because then we could do the control panel that time, and then that's, again, another piece of equipment that is good for another 10, 20 years down the road.
Sounds great.
That makes a lot of sense.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Brad. Thank you guys for all the work that you do on those public works. It's a dirty business, but you all do a great job. Mr. Garrison, zoning administrator. There you are.
Hiding in the back.
Thank you. Oh, he's got a mic over there, Martin.
Thanks for having me, and be glad to meet with any of you individually about the report or anything that you'd like to see in it. At this point, it's fairly simple. You have my report in front of you. It addresses the major things that I've talked to the mayor about when we first got together, along with Mary Ann. And I've been reading the zoning ordinance, been looking at all the permits that are in front of the zoning administrator to take action on. And once I get through those few little items, we can move on to the things that I talked to the mayor extensively about, some revamping the applications, trying to put a bit of order to them so that they're a little bit more easy, friendly oriented for anybody making an application. So I've got an extensive report here. I'm not going to read it to you unless you'd like me to, but covers everything that, I'll say my orientation period with the town of Washington, last 2 weeks.
There you go. We gave you a break for 2 weeks for holidays. Now,
That's
by
right.
God, we're going to keep you nose to the grindstone.
Well, the emails arrived during the holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Mr. Krim.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say that I'm, too, getting up to speed on the matters before the town. I'm planning to pick up some files for Mr. Bennett tomorrow when I'm in Culpeper.
Great.
So I'll have the benefit of his files, and I'll be discussing a couple of issues following up with him that are pending. And it was just before the meeting started discussing with the town clerk, planning a town tour. I think that's a useful thing to do. That is a service that I provide that I do not bill for. It's just very helpful to me with a new client to have an understanding of the lay of the land, literally and figuratively. So that's what I'm planning to do. Stand ready to answer any questions.
Okay. Barbara, I'm happy to give that tour in case you need me to or what have you.
Okay.
Good.
Does that include a stop at patios?
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe
On the
so.
mayor's tab.
That's right, on my tab. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Krim? All right. Thank you, sir. Again, we are honored to have you both with us.
Thank
We're grateful.
Mr. Mayor, for Steve, you had noted you wanted to meet with the Rush River folks. I know that they wanted to do another meeting talking about, utilities and things like that. And we wanted to defer that meeting until we have our engineer ready to discuss some of those aspects. So I don't know if, I guess you could have your meeting, but then I think we probably want to have you included in this follow-up meeting where we have ESS, our engineers, and others, so that we can, we want to do it all at the same time, look at drawings, point out things, and try to solve problems as much as we can in that one meeting. Okay, yeah, we don't have a date for it yet, because again, we're waiting for our other engineer to kind of get all of their things together, and then we'll set that up with the Rush Commons folks. Yep. Great. Great.
All right. Next we have under old business, we have over the last couple of months lost two good members of the Architectural Review Board, George Eban and Raim Crow. They submitted their resignations, and they have both been exceptionally beneficial to the town by providing their expertise, their time, and their good counsel to the Architectural Review Board. And so I publicly want to give this thanks to them for all that they've done for the town by their service on the Architectural Review Board. We also have received two applications for the two vacancies we have on the Architectural Review Board. And if they are here, would Mr. Kerr and Mr. McKnight stand up? So Wes Kerr is in the checked, and David McKnight, I presume, through. It's nice. Thank you all for offering to do this and for applying. We are grateful, and we appreciate your willingness to help out the town by being on the Architectural Review Board. I guess I would ask, do you want to just spend a half a minute giving a little bit about yourself, or a minute? I'll let you go ahead and start, Wes, if you want to. Great. Thank you so much. Mr. McKnight?
Dave McKnight. I live at 250 Main Street, right across from the newspaper building. I have a undergraduate from Hampton, Sydney in political science and a master's degree in historic preservation from the University College of Design. I've worked in land use and preservation matters for quite some time, and I'm really excited to use that expertise and really learn more about how that can be benefit to the village of Little Washington. So really excited to be part of this and look forward to great things to come.
Great. Thank you both very much. If you want to go ahead and, I'm not going to embarrass you anymore by having you stand up so you can sit down. But I appreciate that, and I appreciate your willingness to serve and provide the energy and provide your expertise. Do we have any other, I guess we've closed the application process, so we just have these two applications? Okay. So we have a proposal for these two applications in front of us that I will go ahead and move that we promote or appoint David McKnight and Wesley Kerr to the Architectural Review Board.
I second.
And Gail Swift seconds. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
when do their terms end?
That is good. They're going to be filling the terms of Mr. Eman and Mr. Crow.
Do
So
those
we-
terms end at the same time or different times?
I think it's different times.
Okay. Then I would suggest that the motion be to appoint Mr. Kerr to one of those terms to complete the unfinished term of one of those officers and the other gentleman.
Then
Mr.
why don't we
McKnight.
go ahead and Mr. Kerr, since you're first in the alphabet, I'll let you go ahead and succeed the term of Mr. Crow. And Mr. McKnight, I will go ahead and propose that you complete the term of Mr. Eatman. Okay? Thank you for that, Mr. Krim. So I amend my motion for the appointments to that.
Accepted.
Yeah, thank you, Gail. Any other discussion?
I just want to say, I think we're very fortunate to have two candidates that have a background in historic preservation. And I just want to applaud you for putting in an application and joining our little group here.
So we are honored. Thank you. If there's no other comment, then we will go ahead and have a roll call vote to approve the two nominations. Gene?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 All right. Thank you all very much.
Now you get to go see Barbara, and she'll make sure you go get sworn in.
That's right. So, and we do have the meeting on Wednesday here at 7 o'clock, and then the one 2 weeks. But normally it would be the Wednesday, the second Wednesday, I guess, of the month is when the normal meetings would be. Great. Thank you very much. The next action item is to confirm Martin Krim, who was appointed at the meeting on the 17th as the acting town attorney. And now that the negotiations are complete, we want to go ahead and confirm him as the town attorney. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Would you want to
I make a motion that we confirm Martin Krim as the town attorney.
All right. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, roll call vote. Gene?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 All right. Thank you. Next is a public hearing for the possible sewer rate increase. At this point, Gail, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay. This is a follow-up to do we have a motion on the books, Joe?
I did make a motion.
We did make a motion, and then we,
I would say that in everybody's packet, there is a copy of the amended water and sewer, or the sewer ordinance, which changes.
right. And what we're suggesting is just on the sewer alone, an $8 increase per unit. So that will take the minimum sewer from $40 to $48. And this will start to make a slight dent in the work that we have to do and that we've been doing.
To maintain our wastewater system.
Exactly.
This is not to gold plate it, this is to
I
maintain.
know.
This is to get it to break even.
All right. So-
Not even close, but it's.
Not even close to break even, but at least it's a step in the right direction.
That direction.
So, Mr. Krim, I need your guidance because it's a public, an opportunity for public hearing.
Yes,
Do
sir.
I open it for public comment at this point? We have a motion, we have a second.
Yes,
May
sir.
Open it for comment.
Open it for public comments, that would be
Okay.
appropriate.
So I open it for public comment at this time. And I will say, if there's any comments, please go up to the microphone and identify yourself and if you are a resident of the town. Are there any comments? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and we'll close the public hearing. Is there any more discussion from town council members on this motion in the second?
Actually, I have a question. I see, the minimum rate goes from 40 to 48. Was there consideration for raising the one for the higher use, which is staying at 2350?
We're going to leave it as is for now. We'll probably have some discussions when we start our budget review in March. But we thought this would be a good start to at least make a dent in the sewer deficit that's so bad.
So there was discussion about
Yes,
raising
ma'am. The
it.
answer to your question is yes. We had an extensive discussion about raising the other rate and decided that was largely borne by our commercial folks that it makes try to put everyone in the community to give a little bit extra.
All right. Any other questions? All right, if not, we have do we have a reading? So the motion was basically just to increase the rate from 40 to 48?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would amend, this is an ordinance to amend section 105 of the monthly user charges of the sewer ordinance of the town of Washington. It amends section 10, or
All right, so it's
section
basically,
105, paragraph A, B, and C, or A rather, 3,000 gallons or less. Changes, strikes 40 and inserts 48. You have a copy in your packet.
Right.
Available for the public.
all right. A roll call vote to approve the change to... Joe Whitehead made the motion and Gail Swift made the second. And the motion was made at the December 10th meeting?
Correct.
Okay, or whatever it was, December 13th?
13th.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it was tabled.
All right. So we have the motion, we have the second. Roll call vote to approve. Jean?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 All right, thank you very much. Next is a resolution referring the topics of solar panels and other external utility structures to the Planning Commission. Caroline, we had hinted that this was coming your way. And so we have in front of you the issue has been brought up by citizens about solar panels and other external utility structures. And we thought it best that we delegate to the Planning Commission the opportunity to help us design or modify our zoning ordinance to take into effect these modern conveniences. We need a motion for this resolution.
I
Can I ask a
move.
question first?
Why don't we do the motion and
Okay.
the second, and then we'll do the questions.
I move.
Thank you, Jean, for moving. A second.
I'll say.
Thank you, Joe.
So this resolution, to send this to the Planning Commission for their review and recommendations. Are we going to do the same with the ARB? Will they be looking at these external appurtenances and, okay.
Yep.
So will that be a separate resolution to submit to them?
That's a good idea.
So maybe after it comes back from the Planning Commission, the ARB takes a look at it. So then we have concurrence between those two bodies.
Good idea.
Mr. Krim?
It wouldn't require a resolution is all I was going to say. It would just require a motion, but you're right. The sequence would be for the Planning Commission to come up with something and then refer that to the ARB for their input.
Okay.
Good. Thank you for asking that. It's a good question.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have a zoning ordinance, and in the zoning ordinance is the historic district ordinance. And then we have historic district guidelines. We already have in the historic district guidelines regarding solar panels. And so I guess I'm trying to figure out, either from the attorney or from the zoning administrator, do we need to send this to the planning commission when we already have guidelines on solar panels?
I think from looking at it earlier, the guidelines are relatively general, I think.
Well, no, it actually says no solar panels for historic buildings. And if you want solar panels, you can put them in the ground or do something else with them. But it's on there, and I have the page number and everything. So I'm wondering, so how does this all synchronize? What's the process that we should follow on this?
So
If we already have guidelines on solar panels,
typically, historic district guidelines are just guidelines. They don't have the force of law. And so if you put it in the ordinance, then it doesn't give the ARB any discretion about approval. If there's something is a guideline, then there could be countervailing interests. So for example, in the town of Haymarket, the guidelines discourage solar panels, but the ARB has approved solar panels where they weren't visible from the street and they were not on a historic building. So I would want to look at the interplay between, you say the guidelines prohibit solar panels on historic buildings. I would want to look at the interplay of that with what other buildings are in the historic district that are not considered historic buildings, and make sure that that's clear and that serves the town's interests. So I think that's the point of having the planning commission look at it.
the guidelines, the historic district guidelines are the framework for the zoning ordinance, the historic district ordinance in the zoning ordinance.
Okay,
And it's supposed to guide us
right,
in making our decisions.
right.
I don't know if the historic guidelines drive the zoning ordinance. I think the zoning ordinances are established. I don't know if they were established first, but to me they are, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the zoning ordinances are a different set of things, and then you have the historic district ordinance. But to Mr. Prim's point, I think you do have right now, as you said, the historic guidelines talk about solar panels on historic buildings. I'm not sure exactly what they say about solar panels on other buildings. And is there different zoning districts where solar panels make more sense, for example, or are there other issues that need to be considered, such as setbacks for zoning panels? Are they to be on the ground, or they are supposed to be on the roof? So it seems that there are some things that go beyond just the historic district parameters and deal more with zoning issues.
So the question is, since we have this in the guidelines,
Right.
do we revise those guidelines? Do we just take it out of the guidelines? Do we say, look at the zoning ordinance? How do you make this logistically work?
You'd have to look at them together. You look at the guidelines together with the zoning ordinance. And so if the zoning ordinance prohibits something, then you don't need to go to the guidelines because it's already prohibited. But if it doesn't prohibit the solar panels on a particular building, then you'd look at the guidelines to say, what is allowed, what should be allowed, what discretion does the ARB have to make an approval. So the two documents, the guidelines and the zoning ordinance, work together. And as part of their investigation of this issue, the planning commission should look at the
So they'll
interplay
be looking
between
at
those.
both things and making it all
Right.
come together. Okay.
And they may wish to make some recommendations about changes to the guidelines. So we would need to come back and look at how those are adopted.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, then, having a motion and a second, roll call vote to approve the resolution. Jean?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 All right, thank you. Next item, Mr. Whitehead.
What I would like to ask the council to do is adopt a motion I suppose, referring to the ARB consideration of looking at the property at the corner of Gay Street and Porter and considering it under Section 13.6.2 of the zoning ordinance, minimum maintenance requirements and demolition by neglect. Several constituents have brought to my attention the deteriorating state of what is known as the packing shed. Recently, we had to turn off water because there was a water leak that was not being remedied and water was just pouring out. I think we refer to the ARB to take action on that, working with the zoning administrator and follow the steps to rectify that situation.
There are steps, right, and they can do.
There are very
yeah.
detailed steps to walk through.
Okay.
But for the ARB to work with the zoning administrator, examine it, refer back, hold a public hearing, but to begin that process in
That's a good idea.
that particular property.
Great.
Reasons.
Good.
So I would move that we adopt a motion to ask the ARB to begin the process of review
And I
that
said,
particular property.
All right, so we have a motion from Mr. Whitehead. We have a second from Ms. Kuhn. Any other discussion?
Is that considered to be a contributing structure?
Any other questions? If not, roll call vote.
Yes?
Yes.
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 All right, thank you. And finally, under new business, Marianne, do you want to do this, the resolution?
You mean read it?
Well, just to bring it up as a motion. and to
Okay,
talk about it.
sure. So the mayor asked me to write a resolution honoring John Bennett, our former town attorney, for his service, and I wrote one. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
I'd like to go ahead and read it into the record, if you're all right
Okay,
with
do we
that.
have to have a motion in a second before we do that?
We can either do one or the other. I would like to read it. I can go ahead and read it, and then we can do a motion
Okay.
in a second. Resolution honoring John C. Bennett for his service to the town of Washington, Virginia. Whereas John C. Bennett served for 23 years as the town attorney of Washington, Virginia, providing wise counsel and exceptional dedication to the town and its citizens. And whereas during 5 of those most recent years, he also served with utmost diligence as zoning administrator and Freedom of Information Act officer. And whereas John C. Bennett served the town with sound judgment and stability, promoting respect for the rule of law and applying it equally since his December 9, 1998 appointment as town attorney. And whereas John C. Bennett, in his endeavors, put the best interests of the town and its historic district first, so much so that he became familiarly known as the protector of Little Washington. And whereas John C. Bennett worked tirelessly in his crafting ordinances, resolutions, and other legal documents benefiting the town's best interest and resolving controversial issues. And whereas John C. Bennett was instrumental in guiding the town council, the planning commission, the architectural review board, and the board of zoning appeals tirelessly through key challenges and major hurdles over more than 2 decades, including the establishment of a wastewater treatment plant and the creation of the first planned unit development. And whereas John C. Bennett was not only by the town side, but on the town side during these significant years of service, and consistently displayed a genuine devotion and loyalty to the town. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Washington, Virginia, its mayor and town council, do hereby acknowledge the noteworthy tenure of John C. Bennett and extend their deepest gratitude and appreciation to him for his exemplary service to this historic town. Be it further resolved, a copy of this resolution be entered permanently into the minutes of the Town Council meeting of January 10, 2022, and into the records of the town. By order of the Town Council. He did an extraordinary amount of work for the town, and we are both grateful, and the town has benefited mightily from his work. Can I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Thank you. In a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Joe. We have a motion to make this resolution, and a second. A roll call vote to approve. Gene?
I was going to say.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was
Yeah.
thinking of that right when I said that. Yes, please go ahead. Gene, you've been on for a long time. You and Patrick, I thought you might have some comments.
Well, and also I'd like to start by thanking writing summary.
Beautifully
I
done.
especially like the last one, whereas not only on by the town side, but on the town. Right thing. I found him one of the most pleasant people I've ever met. With the wastewater treatment, there was a degree of acrimony. John's even temper helped get us through. I kind of admire him personally.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Beautifully written, Mary Ann. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne.
Very nice.
I would just say I was considered myself lucky to end up in this seat when I joined the council, because in between telling lots of stories about our shared love of airplanes and cars, John was kind enough to teach me a town.
And he and I had many discussions about things not dealing with the town, but dealing with sailing and with race cars and with a number of other things. And I thoroughly enjoyed knowing him and working with him. It was a great pleasure.
We invited John to be here tonight, but he had to be out of town. And so I was hoping that maybe we could have this framed and take it over to his office.
Absolutely. All right. Any other comments? If not, we have a motion to approve. Gene?
Yes.
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 And noted that is unanimous. All right. At this point, we are now open to the public. And again, if you wish to ask questions or make comments, please use the microphone and identify yourself, and if you're a citizen of the town. So I open up for public forum. All right. Hearing no request, then I will go ahead and close the public forum. At this point, Mr. Krim, I always rely on counsel at this point to help us as we go into a closed session.
Yes, Your Honor. The form of the motion would be that the town council enter closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2, 3711A7 for consultation with the town attorney concerning possible adjustments to the town boundaries as a specific legal matter requiring advice of counsel.
And I would add to that motion that we would invite you, obviously, into that closed session, and also the town administrator/clerk,
Right.
Barbara Batson, to be in that meeting.
Right.
I think Steve's going to go ahead and head on his way back home. So that is the motion that is being brought forth. Is there a second? I'll go ahead and make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gail. So roll call vote to go into closed session?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We're going to go into closed session. There will be no actions that I know of that will occur when we come back into open session.